Woo! Finna get some of that Australian life in me, baby. Yes, indeed, y'all. Hello, beautiful people around the world. Keep coming, family. I hope everybody is blessed, well, and healthy, and that nothing but the best is going on in all you beautiful people's life. Just here to spread love, positivity, good energy, to check out something new, to learn something new, to hear something new with my beautiful family members around the world, y'all. And hey, today we getting out of America and we going to Australia, man. So hey, let's learn something new today. Let's check it out. And hey, shout out to Aussie English for this amazing video that we're going to be checking out. This one comes from my email section. So shout out to my email, Tristy. I love you, and sending love to you and your family over there in the beautiful Australia. Is my brother Robert watching today? Robert, over there in Queensland. Yes, indeed, baby. Let's get into this one, y'all.
What's going on, guys? I'm Pete from Aussie English. Welcome to this episode today where I'm going to be talking about culture shock in Australia. Let's get into it.
Cultural shock. Let's learn.
Right, so I was recently chatting to my wife, trying to come up with a list of things that she had culture shock with when she came to Australia. So if you don't know, my wife is originally from Brazil. Hey, Hakel, if you're watching. And so she came to Australia, and obviously Brazil is a different country, different culture. When she got to Australia, there were a bunch of different things that she found strange. Cultural aspects of Australian life that she found different, weird, strange. So I made a list, and now let's go through 10 of those things, okay? And let me know in the comments below if you found them weird as well. All right. Number 1. Cars are incredibly cheap secondhand in Australia. So cars in Australia are actually really expensive when they're new, at least as far as I know, comparatively speaking, especially if you get into luxury cars like European luxury cars like Mercedes, BMW and Audi. In Australia, we used to have the Ford and Holden manufacturers here building the cars in Australia. They no longer do that. When they did that though, the government put tax on any cars that were luxury cars more than $60,000. And so you'll find that a lot of these cars from overseas that are luxury cars, especially those from Europe, will be very expensive compared to other places in the world. She also found that second-hand cars were incredibly cheap. In Brazil, cars, whether new or second-hand, are apparently much more expensive, relatively speaking, than they are here. For instance, when I bought my second-hand Ford Falcon that I got recently, I recently gave it away though, but when I bought that second-hand, it was about 12 years old and it cost me $3,000. When I bought my first Holden wagon, again, it was about 18 years old and it cost me $2,500. So it wasn't very much at all. So there you go. In Australia, cars, if they're second-hand, can be incredibly cheap. Number 2, cuts of meat. This is one that totally caught me by surprise. I had never thought about this, but the cuts of meat in Australia are very different from how they are in Brazil. One example was when I was looking up how to do Brazilian barbecues in Australia. I wanted to buy some meat and I wanted to try and do them authentically Brazil style, churrasco. I tried to get the cut of meat for picanha. Picanha is a style of...
Oh, picanha is so good, y'all. Yeah. Oh, y'all know, if you ain't never had no picanha, you missing out. Some good stuff now. Hey, I know a lot of y'all is vegan. It's okay. It's okay, y'all.
Brazilian barbecue, where they buy the rump part of the beef, like from the bull, right? And they put salt on it. There's fat on the beef, and they do it on a barbecue. I tried to go and get this, and I couldn't find it anywhere. I couldn't find the picanha cut of meat at any different butchers that I went to. So I had to specifically ask them to get the entire part of the cow that they normally chop up into different cuts and remove that part for me to then use, because Actually, for them, they would chop it up and use it as porterhouse steaks, which were cut through that slice of meat, usually like this, as opposed to taking out the whole section, the rump section, and using that instead. So I had no idea that the cuts of meat in Australia are very different from those in Brazil. And if you want to get the certain cuts of meat that you want to use from other cultures, other countries, you might have to go and specifically ask a butcher to cut them for you. Number 3, toilet paper. Toilet paper. So I was aware that toilet paper isn't...
Gotta wipe that booty. Y'all, some of y'all don't even wipe your booty. Y'all better wipe your booty now.
Toilet paper. So I was aware that toilet paper isn't a universal thing when I went to Southeast Asia for the first time. I went to Indonesia, where some of the motels and hotels would have toilet paper because I guess they were used to foreigners from the West coming to Indonesia. But a lot of the time they had a hole in the ground and a bucket of water that you would use to wash yourself. Makes sense, but in Australia we use toilet paper. One thing that was shocking to Kel was the fact that in Australia you can flush toilet paper down the toilet, because in Brazil the sewer system isn't set up to be able to handle flushing of toilet paper, so instead of flushing it you have to put it in a bin next to the toilet and empty that every day. So there you go. Toilet paper was one of those strange things in Australia that you can flush down the toilet. Number 4.
Yeah, down here in America we can flush it down. We can flush down that toilet paper. Y'all be flushing all kind of stuff down here. Baby wipes. You know what I'm saying? People throw anything down that toilet, man. Unbelievable. You know? Y'all throw a whole book in there. Essay. You know? You done dropped your headphones in the toilet. It's ridiculous. Y'all taking bottles, throw a whole bottle in the toilet and flush it down. We down here in America is crazy.
Coffee culture in Australia.
Oh, coffee!
Any of you guys who have come to Australia and spent a significant amount of time in some of the big cities in particular, like Sydney and Melbourne, will know that we are mental. We are crazy about our coffee. We take that stuff seriously. There are probably hundreds of cafes in the CBDs of Sydney and Melbourne alone. The quality of the beans that are used, the variety of different coffees that you can get, and the artisanry that is used, the skill with which people are trained up to make the coffee is pretty much as good as it ever gets anywhere in the world, at least I'm told, right? I used to work in a cafe and that was one of the things they prided themselves most on, the quality of their coffee. So it may be a shock when you come to Australia that the coffee is very, very good. Not everywhere, but in a lot of places. Probably not very good if you go to Starbucks, because that's American style and Americans, they have their own way of doing coffee. Number 5. Barbecues at camping grounds and at the beach.
Public barbecues.
I grew up in Australia. I used to go camping all the time, several times a year with my parents. We would go to places in the bush, you know, forests, national parks, places like Wilson's Promontory in Victoria. Every time you go to those places, there tend to be places where you can barbecue food, you can cook food. Quite often they have gas, you might have to put some money in there to be able to use the gas. Maybe you have to bring your own fuel for the barbecue, you know, there might be some places, campsites where you have to make the fire yourself, but pretty much every campsite you go to will have some kind of barbecue for you to cook food. And it's the same for a lot of beaches that have tourist spots where people come in large numbers and they want to have food. So there's barbecues everywhere. This was something that Kel found really strange, and it wasn't the cultural norm in Brazil for you to go to camping grounds or to beaches and find places to just barbecue your own food. If you wanted to do that, you'd have to bring your own. BYO Barbie. In Australia, you don't have to. Number 6, and this is one that Brazilians always tell me whenever I meet them. Our secondhand culture in Australia is different from Brazil, probably elsewhere in the world as well. So what happens if I have a couch in my house that I don't want anymore? I don't just throw it out. I don't just give it away to friends, although, you know, you could do that if you wanted. Quite often what will be done is it'll be taken outside, put on the nature strip, with some cardboard that says free. And so people know that if they see junk or chairs, TVs, furniture, all that sort of stuff, if they see that in the nature strip out the front of someone's house, they know that it's free. Someone can take that, that it's free to a good home, that anyone can come and pick that up and take it.
That's kind of how we do it down here. Yeah, and them Hispanics come around here. Shout out to my Hispanics, man. The cool homies come around here, and they'll take anything, man. I mean, you leave that old refrigerator outside, they coming to get it. If you leave that old chair, that 1975 chair, they coming to get it. Yeah, in that trailer and everything, and they gonna throw it on the back. They gonna wrap it up to the best of their ability, and they getting on the freeway, headed back to wherever, and they gonna make something work with that chair, that furniture, them pillows, them TVs, that electrical generator you thought didn't work. They gonna make it work. Oh, they gonna make it work. Oh man. And then some of the time they done made a profit off of it, and you done put it outside. Yeah, so we kind of do the same thing down here somewhat. And then again, us down here, we're really big on garage sales and stuff like that. So sometimes it ain't always about giving free stuff out, but we still do this tradition as well. But we do like a lot of garage sales, a lot of giving back to donation centers. We keep our thrift stores heavily packed with all kind of stuff, but we do somewhat the same thing. So
at home, and we do that all the time. A lot of the stuff that we have in our house is either bought secondhand online through places like Gumtree or Facebook, or we've seen it on the side of the road and thought we don't want to waste that, we want to use it, so let's just bring it home and use it. So that's something you'll notice in Australia quite a lot. When you drive around the streets, there'll be furniture on nature strips, there'll be secondhand stuff, and it's free to be picked up. Number 7, drinking water from the tap.
Tap water.
This was another one that shocked me quite a lot, because it's something I take for granted, that the water in our water system that gets brought to our houses is drinkable. You can drink the water out of the shower, when you're having a bath, you can drink any of the water that comes out of the pipes in your house, generally, right? Should be all good. That is not the case elsewhere in the world. Quite often when I was traveling in Southeast Asia, that would definitely not be something that foreigners like me should do, because we would quite often end up with sickness, end up on the toilet, riding the porcelain throne for quite a few days with a digestive illness. In Australia, it tends to be fine. We put chlorine in the water to kill everything. There's fluoride in there too for your teeth. So that was something that really shocked me. Elsewhere in the world, you may not be able to drink out of the taps. I know that in Brazil, they quite often have purifiers for their water right next to their sinks in their kitchens. In Australia, you won't see those things. There may be purifiers on the taps themselves, or people may have some kind of equipment in the fridge, a jug that purifies the water. But generally, anywhere in Australia that has flowing water that comes out of taps, it's fine to drink, unless it says otherwise. Number 8, and I'm totally guilty of this, leaving things unlocked.
Yeah.
So we live in Ocean Grove, which is a seaside town down the coast, about an hour and a half away from Melbourne. And quite often, I leave the doors unlocked in the house. I leave my car unlocked. It tends to be a very safe place. There's very little robbery. There's very little.
Places down here in America, you don't do that. It's gonna be gone. Somebody walking in. Somebody taking something. Well, now we live in a suburb, so it ain't. You could around here, you could leave your garage open and not worry and leave. Cause I catch myself. We leave the doors unlocked, the garage open and stuff all the time, and things be unlocked, cars, but. We've had, incidents where people were busting out windows and doing all kind of weird stuff, but we never really had to face any thieves or anything crazy like that. But even not far from where I live, there's still a lot of things going on. People stealing, out of people's cars, a lot of crazy things are going on, especially in today's time, man, because a lot of people are struggling, and it's just people that are desperate, especially over here where I live in America, in Houston, Texas. It's still a little crazy, but we still leave stuff unlocked over here too, especially being in this beautiful suburb town, you know. But y'all comment down below, how's it for you as well? Like, how is it where you live? Y'all be leaving stuff unlocked? Is there a lot of thieves and a lot of, you know, craziness going on around you? Comment down below. I would love to hear from you guys.
Criminality taking place in Ocean Grove. Most places in Australia tend to be pretty safe, and you won't see things like massive locks on doors, grills protecting windows and doors, and people leaving their cars and their...
Yeah, I'm telling you, go to that hood. Go to that hood over there on Sunnyside. Yeah, y'all know what I'm talking about. You down here where I live, you going down the Sunnyside. Good luck. Yeah, they out there. Yeah, they'll steal the vase with your grandma ashes in it, and don't even know her ashes in there. They'll just take the vase because they think they can sell the vase on eBay or something, on Facebook. They can resell the vase, but that vase got your grandma ashes in it. That's messed up, man. That's messed up, y'all. I'm finna get mad, man, just thinking about it.
Houses unlocked. Don't get me wrong, I definitely lock it from time to time when I'm going away or I'm going out for a long period of time and no one's at home. But this was something that my wife Kel from Brazil found very strange, that you would just leave doors open, or, you know, you would go to bed and have the gauze doors shut at night, which could just be opened to let air in. She would find that very strange that they would not be locked, and also that you wouldn't lock your car. Number 9, walking the streets at night. So when I met my wife, I was living in Melbourne, in North Melbourne, and quite often I would be busy during the day studying, and then I would go to the gym, I would go and do jiu-jitsu, I would come home, and at maybe 10 or 11 o'clock at night, I would go for a run, or I'd go for a walk, listen to a podcast, and just walk around the streets. I would walk through some of the parks, like Royal Park or Princess Park, and I'd be like, you know, it's not a problem. That was a massive no-no for Kel. That was something that she would never, ever, ever do, because in Brazil, it's relatively unsafe to walk around by yourself at night, especially in places like parks where there's no light. So that was something that kind of shocked me as well. I was like, well, you know, it's Australia. Well, it's pretty safe here. You can sort of walk around anywhere and it's, you know, you're fine. Obviously, we have our own fair share of crime, and sometimes bad things do happen to people, but usually you can walk around at night, especially in somewhere like a CBD, you know, a city like Melbourne or Sydney, and you're perfectly safe. So that was something that she found very strange. That was a big culture shock for her when she found out that I would sometimes go for a walk around midnight throughout Melbourne, throughout the parks, with music in my ears or listening to a podcast, you know, for an hour or so, and it was no big deal. But yeah, there you go. Number 10, guys, the very last one for this episode in Australia, is that there is very little rubbish or littering in Australia compared...
What? Down here? Man. You be driving and just see stuff fly out the window. I can't make this up, y'all. You see stuff fly out the window. Bottles everywhere. Trash everywhere. And then they send the people on the community service. Those, you know, they send people on, you know, that got community service time, you know, to pick stuff up. They be out there just putting stuff in the bag. It be stuff all on the freeway. You know what I'm saying? People done drop mattresses all on the freeway. It be chairs all on the freeway, the highway. Stuff everywhere. Dangerous hazards all over the road. I'm serious, y'all. It's terrible. You see people eating hamburgers and just throw the whole wrapper and then half of the hamburger into the grass. They cleaning out their car while driving. Telling y'all, man. Terrible. Terrible.
Compared to a lot of other countries. Culturally, this is a big no-no. So I cringe every time I see someone smoking who throws their cigarette butt on the ground, because usually there's a bin.
Oh, come down here to America. There's somebody right now throwing their cigarette on the ground. Actually throwing they 10,000 cigarettes on the ground. They just smoked so thousands of cigarettes and just slammed it on the ground.
Within walking distance, that they could just put the cigarette out and throw it in the bin. The same with throwing newspapers or any kind of rubbish, bottles, whatever it is, on the ground. That tends to be a very big social no-no. You don't do that. You put it in the trash. We have bins all over the country, in parks, on streets, where you can throw your rubbish out. So in Australia, littering, it occurs. People definitely litter, but it is a social no-no. You will quite often be yelled at, or people will say something if you do that in front of people, okay? So that's it for this episode, guys. I hope you enjoyed it.
All right. Pretty cool little episode, and I'm glad I got to learn with y'all today. Just taking in different things, from around the world, different perspectives, different, cultural stuff. It just feels good to just hear from someone else and take different things in, and how life is completely different over here. So y'all keep sending me amazing videos like this, and if y'all have anything to add on, anything you want to say from where you're at, go right ahead. I love reading the comment section. Y'all put some more details, information for me. Shout out to my Australian people. But hey, I love y'all, and I will catch y'all in the next one. Peace and love, y'all.